Hello and welcome to this special radio town hall meeting against corruption by the Progressive Impact Organization for Community Development, PRIMORG. I am Chidozie Ogbonnaya. PRIMORG is a civil society group with the mandate to promote good governance, participation and accountability in Nigeria. This radio town hall meeting against corruption is supported by the MacArthur Foundation. Today's town hall meeting will feature Madam Ene Ede. She is the coordinator, Violence Against Persons Prohibition, VAP. We also have in the house David Anyele. He is the Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disability, CCD. We also have Liman Usman. He doubles as a media consultant and the president of Disabled Persons with Social Needs Initiative, DIPSINSNI. We also expecting Yekin Akenwale. He is a journalist, an investigative journalist with International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR. We are also expecting a representative of the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development. Today's moderator is Adaobi Obiabomo, and we are very glad to have her moderate this event, this radio town hall meeting against corruption. But remember, for you out there, remember that you can be part of this meeting. Be ready to join us through the phone in the course of the deliberation. You can begin to send your views to 09022656167. That is 09022656167. Let me leave the stage for now for our able moderator Adaobi Obiabomo, who will comment after this timeout.
Voices against corruption. Let the people speak. Hello and welcome to PRIMORG's public feedback series on corruption called Voices Against Corruption. And we ask, how does corruption affect persons with disability?
Like it is in every other unfortunate situation, they are the worst hit. As a blind person, corruption has a lot to do in the wrong way in my life. For instance, if you don't create good roads that will make it convenient for a blind person like me to be able to move around, then that is bad. And where corruption comes in is the fact that provision may have been made for these aspects of the social needs to be taken care of, but because of people that won't want it to happen.
You'll find situations where we push and advocate for provisions in the budget for persons with disabilities, and then it gets approved and money gets disbursed to certain quarters to improve the lives and welfare of persons with disabilities. And then you find some hungry persons take this money, put it in their pockets and not do the needful, and then the status quo remains. The persons with disabilities are still having the same challenges, they are still facing the same problems. You go to government agencies and they are ordinarily meant to be particular slots for persons with disabilities, but you find corrupt officials giving these slots to their family members or friends that may not even be qualified for this job. They would rather give it to persons they know than give it to the persons with disabilities they are allotted for.
The effect of corruption lead to hunger, lead to poverty. And the disability, the one that they are not able, they don't have hand or leg or no eye, they are finding it very difficult to feed or to survive. If those with 2 legs and 1 hand like myself, I'm finding it very difficult to take 1 square meal a day, then talk more or less those who are depending under our own personal help. Really, they are dying.
The system does not create enabling environment for the people with disabilities because they are not being carried along. The government feels they are not qualified to be part of some things in the country. And I see the reason why we need to fight for these people, because the only thing that can make a country to be called a country is when the people that have all it takes can fight for those people that don't have all it takes to fight for themselves.
Corruption affects persons with disabilities in so many ways. Talk about education, talk about infrastructure, talk about social protection, talking about empowerment. In the area of health, you find out that there are so many equipments that were supposed to be in our medical facilities, but you find out that some of these equipments would not be purchased either by the management or by the contractor, and thereby denying persons with disabilities to access to qualitative and accessible health care services.
The fact that the government gave us this list is their contribution towards taking care of persons with special needs. But I know there are people who are looking for opportunities like this, and due to corruption, they were not able to get it, especially in the educational sector. If you look at the educational law in Nigeria, there's a provision for special needs in the educational law in Nigeria, just the way it is in other countries. But I feel that the only reason it's not being implemented properly is because of corruption. If there was no corruption, if corruption is properly managed, the implementation is easy.
Thank you so much, Chidozie, and welcome again to the program wherever you are listening to us from. There exists an age-long conviction that corruption has eaten deep into the fabric of the Nigerian society. Fraud, bribery, and other forms of corrupt acts continue to ruin every aspect of the nation's national life, with serious damages to the well-being of the general public and the country's image before the international community. The hydra-headed monster called corruption is multifaceted, dynamic, and has not only become pervasive in Nigeria, but more or less a way of life, with politicians, public office holders, and Nigerians from different walks of life facilitating corruption. In 2012, Nigeria was estimated to have lost over $400 billion to corruption since independence. Similarly, in 2016, a report by the global professional advisory firm PricewaterhouseCoopers to the federal government of Nigeria indicated that corruption could cost Nigeria about 37% of its gross domestic product by 2030 if the situation is not addressed immediately. Recently, it came to the fore that persons with disabilities were not left out in the massive corruption in the Nigerian's public service, as 275 billion naira was said to have been spent by Women Affairs and Social Development Ministry on non-existing rehabilitation institute for persons with disabilities. Today's program is very important, considering the menace of corruption in our society. It is also worthy to note that a person with disability prominently featured in unearthing the corruption at Women Affairs and Social Development Ministry. Stakeholders during this town hall meeting will examine the challenges and impacts of corruption in the general well-being of persons with disabilities, as well as proper steps that must be taken by the government at all levels to change the ugly trend. And remember that you are in the studio in this radio town hall, wherever you are listening to us from, and you have the opportunity to make your contributions when we open our phone. Your contribution will be on how we can ensure the well-being of persons with disabilities are not undermined by corruption in the public sector. Welcome to the studio, Madam Ene, David Aniale, and Lehman. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, ma.
Thank you.
We are expecting Yakin Akinwale of ICIR. ICIR wrote this report that we are looking at today on how 275 million naira was spent by the Department of Rehabilitation at the Ministry of Women Affairs. But it's also worthy to note that the department has been moved to Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and no longer at the Ministry of Women Affairs. But while we're waiting for him, let me get straight to Madam Ene. Many Nigerians believe that systemic corruption remains one monster we must kill as a nation. The society discriminates against women, let alone women with disabilities. Share with us how corruption affects women with disabilities.
Thank you very much. You know, when I listened to the background report, it's so touching. I was almost moved to tears. But I now ask myself, if you don't control your emotion, how will you be able to contribute to the discourse? It's quite pathetic. And with your report too, everything there put together shows that we have a big problem. We have endemic corruption. Endemic to the extent that it has reached a level of impunity, and the level of impunity is not being addressed. One, corruption does not only affect women with disabilities so badly, it affects most people who are not within the public space, that as politicians or as public servants, that is civil servants. But where we have the impact most is the women with disabilities. It affects women generally as a demographic of the human species, but more of the women with disabilities. That person described the situation so vividly that, look, if people who can move here and there and they don't have both artificial and biological inhibitions are able to move and are being affected, talk more of the people who are limited, either by society or by infrastructure or by even mere perception. So it brings to mind the fact that because of the way Nigeria is structured, generally, the way the society is structured such that it favors the privileged few. It also favors the people in government to the extent that if you are not within that bracket, you don't get anything. And most women with disabilities, I will say we have problem with statistics. Maybe just 1% of women with disabilities. This is what I mean. The way we are structured, look at the budget first of all. That is where we have the biggest problem. With the budget, 100% budget.
Inclusive enough?
No, it's not even being inclusive. It's, first of all, the first instance is how much goes to recurrent expenditure? What percentage goes to capital expenditure? And if the recurrent expenditure is higher, that's for people who may not understand the details, is that when you are paying salaries, paying allowances, paying for enjoyment for public office holders, and you are leaving the capital expenditure that grows community, it means the people who are outside they will not benefit. They'll be benefiting from the little that will go to building bridges, building infrastructure and the rest. So these people belong, I think what they get is like 2% of even the capital, of the 20% of the capital. So how much is the 2% now? If you look at it, it's so small, it's not even up to 2%. So because they are excluded, they are put at the background, they are neglected, they are not given opportunity to serve either as politicians or as civil servants, it means they get virtually nothing. It's not even up to 2% that comes to the rest of us. Because the analysis has been done before. So the women with disabilities get virtually nothing. What you want to hear, what they talk about, the national cake, they get nothing, unfortunately. And they can't fight. They will not even want to fight, because if they fight too, they will bear the brunt of the fight, unfortunately. So there's no defense for them, no deliberate effort to defend them, no deliberate effort to provide for their welfare, even in health, in food, in agriculture, basic needs, even housing,
so
no infrastructure.
Women and
so badly, so badly, like to the marrow.
Thank you for that submission. Yakin Akinwale, thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, it's nice to be here again.
Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so
We'd
much.
like you to quickly give us an overview of the report we are examining today.
Well, thank you. Good evening, listeners at home. My name is Yekin Akinwale. I'm an investigative journalist at the International Center for Investigative Reporting, ICIR. The report is about the Ministry of Women Affairs spent 275 million on non-existing rehabilitation institute for persons living with disabilities. It was a report published by the ICR on August 26, 2020, and it was written by a visually impaired journalist, Gbenga Ogundare, who has always been at the forefront of issues affecting people living with disabilities. So he has been scrutinizing the budget of the ministry and wanting to know what the government has been doing for people living with disabilities. And during the course of his findings, he found out that between 2013 and 2019, a total of 275 has been budgeted and cash backed. It means money was released.
Money was released.
Yeah, for a project that actually in reality does not exist. So that is the brief summary of the report that we did in August.
Okay, in the course of conducting this report, were there challenges?
Oh, definitely. The reporter try many times to get some fact from the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, under whose purview the project falls. And the director who superintends the department that oversees this project was not really friendly or opening enough releasing the kind of information that this journalist needed to be able to do his report. Each time he made a call, it's either the person wasn't really forthcoming or would just be very brief. And he didn't stop there. On 2 occasions, Freedom of Information requests, FOI requests, were also written and sent to the ministry requesting for details of capital projects relating to this particular project. But up till when the report was prepared and published, there was no response. It was a serious challenge for us to be able to get the report done. But because we are also able to get report from the office of the Accountant General Office that shows that there were actually budgetary allocations for this project from 2013, 2014 up to 2019. So we were able to establish that indeed money was released for this project, but nothing in reality was executed.
The site is at Warimpa.
Warimpa, yes.
Monies were released and there's nothing on ground.
Yes.
In the course of dealing with this report, it was established that the Department of Rehabilitation was moved from the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management at the inception of President Muhammadu Buhari's second term in 2019. PRIMORG tried to get to both the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development and Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management to explain their involvement in this report. A representative from the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development called us earlier to say that he would be here, but as it is, he's not yet here. We want to believe that he's on his way here to further explain what happened. David, this question would be directed to you. What is your reaction to the impact of corruption on the welfare of persons with disability? And I know you are the executive director of Center for Citizens with Disabilities, with a mandate to better the lives of persons with disabilities. What will be your action plan against corruption? First, I would like you to react to this report.
Thank you so much for bringing me here, and I commend you for the good job you are doing to scale up the voice of the voiceless, the people that cannot speak for themselves, in particular people with disabilities. This is not the first time we are getting this kind of report on how state institutions use people with disabilities as a tool to divert funds meant for people with disabilities, or to use people with disabilities to retire fund, either for rehabilitation or for building infrastructure. Our CCD with support from Action Aid and UK Aid now, Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office of the UK government, supported us on SCRAPC project, which we call Strengthening Resistance to the Prevalence of Corruption, in which we launch anti-corruption program on, around people with disabilities, building capacity of people with disabilities across 5 states, namely Akwa Ibom, Lagos, Enugu, Kano, and Kaduna, to build their capacity to speak around corruption issues. During the course of this project, we discovered that in Akwa Ibom State, the governor says that over 960 billion naira that was part of their budget in 2018 was used to rehabilitate 20 blind persons in Akwa Ibom State. In 2018, 2017, in 2018 in particular. And during the media investigation on this particular claim by the Akwa Ibom State governor, we discovered that during that period, they claimed they sent blind people for rehabilitation. Nobody from any state were sent to Nigeria Farm Craft Center for the blind in Lagos. Nobody was sent there in 2018, in 2017, and in 2000. So
monies have been spent.
But the governor said he used part of that money to rehabilitate 20 blind persons in Akwa Ibom State. And by the time we raised this issue, one of the media program, the people, the blind people in Akwa Ibom, they were enraged. They said, who is using us to retire fund in Akwa Ibom State? So when this report was published, the guy who published this particular report of Ministry of Women Affairs spending over 275 million naira for this, I just laughed when he said, I said this one is chicken money compared to what they did at the state level. So what I'm trying to say is that what I'm trying to say is this, that it's a pattern. It's a pattern. Virtually all ministry department agencies, it's a pattern. People with disabilities are used to retire fund. That was why when we were shouting for the passage of the disability bill, they denied us assent in 2017, 2011, they denied us assent in 2015. Guess what? There are people with disabilities who are collaborators who were supporting them to do all this rubbish. And we insisted graciously last year, the president helped us to sign the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act. What I'm saying is that it is unfortunate that state institutions ordinarily they're supposed to support us, they're supposed to protect us, they're supposed to, galvanize state systems in order to enhance our potentials, are the institutions that are pushing us down. That is why I always say that the disability we are suffering today is masterminded by the state. That people with disabilities that are impoverished, people with disabilities are begging on the street, people with disabilities are in their homes not going to school, is state-induced. Reason simple. The people using state system are using people with disabilities to retire fund that is meant for them. In all the states of the Federation, there is budgetary provision for rehabilitation. If you go to all the Ministry of Women Affairs, or being it whatever system they call it, there is provision for rehabilitation of person with disability. At the end of the day, no money goes to anybody. Nobody with disability goes to Farm Craft Center for the Blind. Nobody goes for rehabilitation. Nobody is no processes or artificial limbs is provided.
Is there only one Farm Craft Center?
There is only one Farm Craft Center in Nigeria. It's called Nigeria Farm Craft Center for the Blind. It's located in Lagos. That is the only place, that is the major place in Nigeria where blind persons across the state of the Federation is expected to send at least 3 persons from each state for yearly rehabilitation.
3 persons?
3 persons from each state. That is what is expected. 3 persons from each state.
Is that enough?
That is their current protocol. I don't even understand. That is the current protocol because it's expected that all the states will have equal quota in terms of sending people for rehabilitation in this place. But this particular place, unfortunately, many states are not sending. But if you go to their state budget, you see provisions made for rehabilitation of persons with disabilities, meant for them to go for this kind of places. Unfortunately, they are not sending. And if you check most of these states that are perpetrating this evil, they don't have law that protect people with disabilities.
Okay, Lehman.
Yes.
What are the other problems that persons with disabilities are faced with respect to corruption?
Well, I recall an incident when I was in Kaduna State, and there was a trade fair, and I had to meet a friend that was already at the trade fair ground. So when I got to the gate, the queue was very long, and then a guy met me and said he was going to help me. So he was, pushing people aside and telling them, "Oh, this is a blind man. Here is a blind man. Help him, help him." So, and we were allowed to pass until we got to the gate. And when we got to the gate, we were supposed to pay fare, but the gate, they allowed us to go in. The very moment we crossed the gate, the guy left me and went on his way. Went his way. So usually this is what you find happening with persons with disabilities in Nigeria. Somebody will front as someone that wants to help, and because we are the weaker state, we are vulnerable. We mostly won't be able to help ourselves to where we should be. So certain people will come or will present themselves as people that want to help, but it's themselves that they want to help. And then who do you have to blame? Is the system. The system so support the people that oppress us. You can't report your case to anywhere and get good hearing. If you have information like the one we are discussing, where do you take it to? If it were when media used to be very sensitive, I'm not sure we will end this program well. But now media has become a thing that doesn't really carry any weight in Nigeria. So you can discuss whatever you want to discuss to whatever extent, no matter how loud your speakers are. It doesn't matter to anyone because they know that it is going nowhere. So that's why no one is afraid. Yes. Okay, tell me, where do you think at the end of these discussions today there's going to be anything out that will come out as a result of what we have discussed?
We are positive though. Something.
Well, I enjoy your courage, but then the reality remains that media is no longer something that matter a lot to our country. That's why we are where we are. People do whatever they want to do, and it is spread on social media, it is spread all over everywhere, but in the end it is still happening. Why? Because people know that there is no reason, there's nothing to be afraid of. So that is just the situation. A lot of people are comfortable.
I want to speak on the challenges that persons with disabilities face, which is caused by corruption.
That is still what I'm saying. The challenges are that we don't have support to fight our case. We are happy that we have the law being signed and it is in place now. But let me just give you, ask one question. We are expecting that in the next 5 years, people should comply with the accessibility that is being stated. There could be some people now that are claiming a lot upon this, that they want to actualize this. But just look around and tell me, is there any structure at the moment that you can point to that they are already looking into this situation of ours? But if you go underground, you'll find out that there are so many people that are working or getting monies and so many other claims saying that they want to support our accessibility situation. And just like David said, there are some of us, persons with disabilities, that are supporting this to happen. They are in the position, or being put in the position, that they should have been able to stop what is happening. They are aware of all that is happening, but because they are collaborating with those that are doing it, for the little that they will get, they will allow it to keep happening. And that's where we are.
Thank you for that. This program is interactive. You can reach us via phone on 090-30,899 or 080-998-770. Your contribution will be on how we can ensure the well-being of persons with disabilities are not undermined by corruption in the public sector. You can send us a text message on 090-2265-6167. Hello. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Apostle Osalai. Let's hear you.
Please, the time I contribute, it's a good of your program, like the family school. Has it been changed?
No, it has not been changed. This is a one-off program.
Okay. So please, in any of this, to help for the things that I disability in our society, if our government, they have, whenever they are campaigning, they need to say that they will do this, they do that for the disabilities in our society. But very unfortunately, when they enter there, they forget this our brother. And nobody knows tomorrow. So, my prayer is that the Lord will come down on power. If you remember those disabilities in our midst. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Apostle Osalai. David.
Yes.
If persons with disabilities are employed at the level of implementation of policies in the ministry, will there be a different result?
You see, corruption in Nigeria is systematic. It's institutional problem. That you are a member of staff of a particular institution, if you are not strong morally, you may join the queue. So it is not that by reason of being a person with disability, you will suddenly change.
But
Don't forget,
a person with disability understands the challenges.
a person with disability understands the challenge can only work with civil society organizations outside in order for them to share information that they can use to fight corruption. I give you a classical example. You see, when we were fighting for the passage of the National Disability Act, the key institutions that were responsible for approval of that bill were Ministry of Justice and Ministry of then Women Affairs. Guess what? There were people with disabilities that were working in these ministries. The person that killed the disability bill in 2015, 2011, 2015 happens to be a woman with disability, a blind woman. When we went to the National Assembly for public hearing, and do you know what the ministry did? They sent her to go.
What do you mean by the center?
Good. They sent her to represent the ministry in presenting ministry's position on the bill. What did she say? She said that the ministry chose to not approve the bill. They asked her why. They said that the ministry believes that if the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities is created, then it's going to create a competition of resources between the ministry and the new commission. Therefore, they will not support it. She, a blind woman, said they will not. Then they will not support it. Then the chair of the Joint National Assembly Committee on that bill asked her, why don't you return the bill to us if there are gray areas you don't understand, so that we can be able to amend it? I was there in the public hearing, and the woman kept silent. A woman with disability, a director, a blind woman. So who ordinarily we could say that understand the issues, that she's in a high position, that she will be able to speak for us, but you saw what happened. So that you have disability is one thing. That you key into this issue of campaign against corruption is another issue. For you to be in a system where there is endemic corruption, it's not something you can come out only by yourself, by reason of being a person with disability and start shouting, hey, stop corruption. It's about you working with civil society organizations, sharing data that can enhance campaign, that can enhance demand for accountability. It is by so doing that we can collaborate in order to ensure that what belongs to people with disabilities are given to people with disabilities. They're not hijacked. So you see, in Ministry of Justice, we have people with disabilities who are senior lawyers. I mean, here in Abuja. But they were there. They were there. Even for them to clamor for accessible toilets, accessible infrastructure, they couldn't even speak about it. I know of a woman who works in one of the ministries, a woman with disability. Because their ministry is not accessible to her, she cannot use their toilet. Because the toilet in the ministry is not disability friendly. So anytime she is pressed, that is the time she will close. She will enter a vehicle and return back home in order to ease herself or whatever thing that is. I'm just telling you, a woman with disability in a ministry. Ordinarily, you could say, because she's a woman with disability, she's in a ministry, she would demand for change, she would demand for this, she would demand for that. So what I'm trying to say is that you are a person with disability is not a guarantee that you will campaign against corruption, except you are already, morally upright, morally strong, you are in the spirit of upright for Nigeria that will help you to say, no, this cannot work. And for you to do that, you need to work with other organizations outside so that they can be able to get the necessary information. Take, for instance, as we are discussing this issue, the Ministry of Women Affairs, where this society was conducted, there were people with disabilities who are working there. There are deaf people, there are blind people, there are physically challenged who are working there. Even the individual who conducted the research, I know him. Ordinarily, those people with disability working in that place could share information with him in order to say, this is exactly who collected this, who collected that, who didn't collect this. These are various, but they would deny such individuals such information.
So persons with disabilities should work with CSOs.
Persons with disabilities working in ministry, department, and agencies should work with CSOs working on anti-corruption in order for them to identify areas that are weak or they are using to sustain people with disabilities, either by diversion of resources or by abuse of resources in whichever form, so that we can be able to demand for accountability. If we can't get such information, we can't be able to do anything. Just as this issue came up, when this report was published, it was sent to me immediately. And the guy said, "We see what I've discovered." I went through it. I smiled. I commended him for how far he has gone. I said, but can we track the Minister for Women Affairs? Because there is a particular office where this retirement was made. We should be able to track the minister, to tell the minister, you sustained us. You diverted our 275 million naira meant for building of, resource center for people with disabilities. Where is the money?
We would continue. That is why we're having this program, because I know that they are listening. We also dropped letters with them. You can send a text message to 09022656167. You did mention about commission when you were talking. So I will direct this question to you. How will you expect the Persons with Disabilities Commission to address challenges like this in government if the commission is set up? Because I know there's an ongoing conversation around it.
No, the commission is already set up.
Oh, okay.
They already have it's a full-fledged, they have a board. It's completely set up. They have an executive secretary, they have zonal representatives, and it's already set up. Just like every other person has said, you see, whether we like it or not, the basic fact is that the corruption cycle, the network is systemic, that is sustained by elite, and mostly is the civil service, first of all, before you even talk of the politicians. Mostly they give orientation to the politicians. This is what we have come to know from history and from information available to us. So part of what we have to do as those who believe that we can get out of corruption, I am not in doubt about that. It is possible. Because this kind of conversation, even getting this information out, though there is so much out there to get out, it's something that is possible. So what can the commission do? I want you to remember that the commission is also under a ministry. And you cannot divorce the commission from part of what is likely to happen. When I say likely, is because It's more like it's statutory. It's just there. It will happen. It's just for us to guard. One, we have this challenge that we venerate our leaders. We have, I don't know, including me, strangely, when you see our political leaders, even if they have very bad attitude, you have strange respect for them. So it makes it a little bit difficult for you to scrutinize them. And in a situation where you are not able to scrutinize them, holding them accountable is very difficult. They have a way of escaping. So if this commission is accountable or is responsible to the Minister of Humanitarian Disaster Management and Social Development, it means these issues we are still talking about is still there. When you were also talking about, you as the minister, I'm wondering which of the ministers. Is it the current minister? Because from the report, it doesn't have to do with the current minister in office, if I understand that very well. It's previous ministers. Yes, not the current minister. Yeah, I'm not saying that we should exonerate any woman if the woman is culpable. But the truth of the matter is that the commission is like an island, or it's in the middle of an ocean. Ocean is the biggest body of water. We are not talking about sea that is endless. So if they are just there as a small group, so that we can manage our expectations, let certain things not happen, and we begin to say, oh, look at even the commission.
So you
because
think the commission will not fight corruption? The commission will fight, but to the extent to which they will not be so limited, because they have others they relate with. The commission will work with the Office of the Accountant General. I see the civil servants that are there. The commission will work with different governmental bodies. They work with several people, sea of people, those who are both legitimate and not and illegitimate governors. So the thing we need to deal with is the strange governance structures that we have. And the governance structure that provides for itself and not providing for anybody. Like David rightly said, David and my brother, all of them have attested to this. The fact that, take for example, transportation system. Will the commission, if they propose that, look, we need this kind of transportation or housing for persons with disabilities, when they go to the Ministry of Transport, they are still working with these people. It's more like a constant. They are still there. The attitudes are there. The structures are there. The strong network to make corruption to blossom is still there. They edge people out deliberately. They threaten. It's like between life and death. You really want to be alive to see a new Nigeria. So I like us to manage our expectation. I know they will they will do their best. It's also possible too that what they call the Nigerian factor may catch up with them. So it's for us to put in place an accountability structure to say, look, yeah, he or she who goes to equity must go with clean hands. Because you are a victim, you are not even a survivor, because they have all the deprivations. We have seen that it's as a result of corruption. Then the good thing about it is the VAB Act is fully enforced. Prohibition Act. And there is economic violence, emotional violence, psychological violence, and all the kind of acts of violence that all of us suffer. We can enforce this. You have opportunity of suing the state, the ministries, all of them, everybody involved. So it's for us to also use this tool. If we can use this tool, it will be very helpful for us as something that will safeguard us, protect us, defend us, and make life more pleasurable. For now, they will be too ambitious if we expect that this baby commission will come and behave differently. This is the truth. David, while Madam Ellen was talking, you were just shaking your head. Why?
Yeah, because as we were just saying, expecting the commission to start fighting corruption within disability, I'm not expecting them to do that. In fact, the only thing that will save us is for us to begin now to show them the green, white, green. That is to say, you need to do the right thing. That is what green, white, green means. You must do the right thing. And these are the right things. So people like us, you can't come to me, no commissioner will come to me to tell me, oh, David, you don't understand what you are talking about. I will tell you, no, it's not correct. Because the commission, the law that establishes, was a product of struggle. and we say that we're not going to allow anybody to hijack it. We'll be in the forefront to demand accountability right from day one. As the president have presented his budget, we're going to scrutinize it to know to what extent there is a provision for people with disabilities, to what extent there is a provision for the commission. If there's a provision for the commission, for what purpose? So we begin to put our alarm attached to the document. So as they are moving every quarter, we would like to know how much have you spent? What are you using to do?
You just took that question out of my mind because I was going to ask you what the PWDs are doing to track projects and budgets. But like you said, you are going to track it. Lehman.
Yes.
Are you tracking budget also?
Well, you see, I have always said that if we want to end corruption in Nigeria, it's something that is possible, because people that are doing this, our brothers, our sisters, our uncles, our fathers, our religious leaders. You know, you may not directly be able to, get to the top and change things, but right where you are, there are people you can start talking to, and from there the chain will climb to the top to make the changes. People that carry the files around, people that change the figures, they are they have link to that place you are. And so if we really want to bring about the change, that is how we can do it. But I think pretense is what is making it to abate. A lot of us are not really, doing what we say. Otherwise, these people have where they worship, and I'm sure they respect their religious leaders. They have brothers or sisters that they listen to, or friends that they listen to. So, but when you are, in your closet and you're saying something different, you're acting differently, and you come out to say, I don't want it, you expect that things will not change. So if we want to really have this change come true, then everybody must agree that the best way we can run this country is to do things the right way. We will fare well if we do it the right way. It's just because when I am in a better position to get, then I feel comfortable. I just become quiet, and then or pretend that I really don't like what is happening. Whereas I am enjoying every bit of it. But if we really mean business, it's something we can actualize.
Thank you. You're charging all of us to do the right thing. Collectively, we'll eschew corruption from our society. Yakin, when this report was done, the Department of Rehabilitation was domiciled with the Ministry of Women Affairs, but now they are with the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs. Is there an update? Would you go to Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs to ask questions?
Well, up to this moment, we've not had anything from either the Ministry of Women Affairs, that was formerly handling the project, nor from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs.
And the director that is still there?
Up till now, there has been no response, and it gives a lot of concerns that despite the volume of work done, the amount of information put out there, you would also want to say perhaps indictment of the ministry and then the personality involved. Up till now, we've not had anything from the ministry, and for us, we are not going to get tired.
We'll keep talking.
Yeah, we'll keep talking, and we will be doing our work. And as you have rightly pointed out, I think the time has come for us to move forward to get an update. We had expected that the government anti-corruption agencies, the ICPC, the EFCC, even the National Assembly, the Committee of the National Assembly that performs oversight function on this ministry ought to have taken action, but it seems to me that as every other person has said, corruption is systemic, and people move on as if everything is normal, forgetting that people with disabilities are part and parcel of the country. They are citizens that also have fundamental human rights like every other person, whose right ought to be taken care of. But it is so much disturbing.
Thank you so much. We'll be expecting the update. Madam Ene, in 1 minute, what would you want the President Muhammadu Buhari-led government to do differently on corruption in public service affecting persons with disability?
Yeah, we need to submit ourselves to accountability, transparency, and we need to avoid the life of deceit. Then they need to encourage strength, so that cowardice will not be accepted. We have people who are not cowards, and have people who are sincere, then these two will be able to have what we have in section 24 of our constitution as our national ethics. Go and read it and see.
Section
Very strong.
24.
Yes.
Good.
Of chapter 2.
Section 24.
Yes.
David, if you were to meet the president today, what would you tell him to do differently with regards to corruption and how it affects persons with disability?
I will encourage him to be transparent on issues that has to do with people with disabilities. Transparent in the sense that you need to be spelled out, black and white. Look, on the June 12th, a classical example is June 12th. June 12th, the president made a public statement. He addressed the Nigerians. Part of the statement by Mr. President is that ministries, department, agencies should take appropriate measures to ensure that people with disabilities are included in their program activities. Where possible, that they should be employed. That's what Mr. President said. I think that was number 83 of his statement. Guess what? Within this period, we've seen that ministry, department, agencies are not responding to this statement. We've seen it in different ministries. They are not responding to this statement. You could see the even the election we just finished. We saw what happened in those states where physically challenged people were not properly included in the INEC program. So all these things are manifesting. Don't forget, in this INEC election that just ended, there was provision for procurement of materials for aid people with disabilities to participate in election. You need to track. I don't even understand. So these are the issues we are, struggling with. So what I'm trying to say is that the president should make it open in his public statement that he wants accountability on any issue that has to do with people with disabilities, be it Minister of Information, Minister of Education, Minister of Health, Minister of Works and Housing, including Women Affairs and Humanitarian Agency, so that together we will know what is available for people with disabilities. If you are making provision, don't lump it up. Put it black and white. Ministry of Sports is another area where para sports people, they are not giving any money. People with disabilities go to Olympics, bring all manner of goods. When they go to the National Assembly, the Ministry of Sports will use these people to get approvals for funding. At the end of the day, how many of them get support? I'm the president of Sitting Volleyball Federation of this country. Since I became the president, I've not gotten kobo from the ministry. So it manifests in different ministries, different institutions. They use people with disability to retire fund.
So you expect the president to encourage the ministries and ministers to be transparent, and they should also be accountable to persons with disability when it comes to their needs.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. We are pressed for time, and that is how we will end this special radio town hall. My duty as the moderator for this special radio town hall meeting has come to an end. We appreciate all the participants at this meeting. Madam Ene, the Coordinator of Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, David Anyele, Executive Director, Center for Citizens with Disability, Yakin Akinwale, Journalist with International Center for Investigative Reporting, and Liman Usman, Media Consultant and President, Disabled Persons with Social Needs Initiative. PRIMORG's engagement against corruption is supported by the John T. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation, committed to building a more just, verdant, and peaceful world. And I'll hand over to the lead presenter, Chidozie Ogunaya, to conclude. I am Adaobi Obiabumo. It was my pleasure moderating this session.
Many thanks, Adobe. It has been a very robust and mind-blowing revolution in this hall this evening. And we thank you once again, able moderator. And this way we have come to the end of the town hall meeting. But before we go, corruption is an ill wind that blows no good to any society. And that is why we must continue to talk and have these conversations going on. Many thanks to our esteemed listener out there for being with us, and to those who were able to join us via the phone. Our profound gratitude goes to the Executive Director, PRIMORG, Mr. Ohiria Abonsoremi, and the entire PRIMORG team. We also want to urge you, if you have message for us or you want to react to what you've heard on this program, please call us on 090-2265-6167. That is 090-2265-6167. Or you can reach us through info@primorg.org. Please also visit the news page of our website, news.primorg.org. That is news.primorg.org for all our details, all the details of our report and interview. Visit PRIMORG, our website, primorg.org, to get all the information about PRIMORG. PRIMORG is spelled PRIMORG. Get more information about the foundation at its website, macfound.org. We will give you enough notice for our next radio town hall meeting here. Please follow us on our social media platforms at Official PRIMORG to get timely information on our activities. I am Chidozie Obunnaya.